today is a good day for the future of our city. It's a good day for our kids, our grandkids, and future generations, because we are announcing that I'll be signing legislation that will dedicate 2% of our general obligation bond cycle until 2025 to go towards the purchase of open lands and open spaces in the city of Albuquerque. So why is this important? I was talking to Barbara Taylor a little bit ago, and Albuquerque is a very special place. We have special people, but we are special also because we have a beautiful place. We are blessed with a wonderful environment. We are blessed with mountains, river, agrarian areas. We are in a Sonoran desert, and the high desert. It's just a wonderful place to live. It's a wonderful place to raise a family, to start a business. And part of the reason that Albuquerque is a tremendously wonderful place is because we have these open spaces. Currently in the city of Albuquerque, we have about 29,000 acres of open space. We have about 250,000 visitors each year to our open spaces, and most of those visitors are us. There are our families, there are our kids. Just driving up here today, we saw people hiking, we saw people biking. There will be people up here 365 days a year enjoying the great outdoors. So Councilor Don Harris is with me today from District 9. He's my city councilor, actually, and he's been a wonderful gentleman to work with. And he sponsored legislation that passed the city council with a large majority to set aside these 2% geo bond cycles for the next number of years. So what does this mean? For all intents and purposes, it means that in the next 20 years, there will be an additional $24 million available for the purchase of open spaces in the city of Albuquerque. And we have a long list. We already have a list of open spaces that have our eye. And they have our eye for a number of reasons. We have the Cerro Colorado volcano on the west side. We've got the northern geologic window. We've got the northern sand dunes, the North Rio Puerco escarpment, the Volcano Cliffs sector development plan parcels, the Tejeros Arroyo biological zone. So we've got lands on the east, we have lands on the west, and we have a wonderful team of people, including Dr. Matt Schmader at the city of Albuquerque, who is our open space director, who understand the kinds of lands that we need to buy, and we want to make sure that these lands are dispersed throughout our city. We have a large geographical city, almost 200 square miles in the city of Albuquerque, so we're a very large place. So the fact that we are making strategic purchases of open spaces throughout our city is important, so that our citizens and our families can get to these open spaces. And of course, like anything else, we want to look back. The reason that we're here today is because Mayor Harry Kinney and a group of individuals, when he was mayor, worked hard to secure this land. We've been purchasing open space lands in the city of Albuquerque for many, many decades. And as I said, it's one of the things that makes us special, and those things also make us very competitive when people are making decisions on where to live. So we want to thank those that came before us, and we want to make sure that we're doing what we can to hand our place off better to the next generations. And by signing this legislation today and the work of Councilor Harris and the entire City Council, we're going to be able to do exactly that. So it's a proud day for Albuquerque. It's a proud day for me to be the mayor, to be able to sign this important legislation. With that, I'm going to have our sponsor talk. The sponsor of the legislation, Don Harris, as I said, from Council District 9. And he was the gentleman that took this to the City Council. He talked to his fellow councilors, got the votes together, and he got it passed. And he's the reason I'm signing it today. Councilor, thanks a lot.
I want to thank the mayor. And there's a slight correction. He said 2025 is actually 2035, but you were correct.
I said 35. Sorry about that.
But it's 2035, 20 years. That's
Yep.
And it's at least 24 million. We anticipated actually should be more, probably in the 30 millions by the time we get to those out years and the capacity of our bond program increases. The reason why we're doing this is that in anything in life, oftentimes the important things get crowded by the urgent things. And the urgent things in every bond cycle are, painting roads and street signs and fixing potholes and building community centers and things like that. That's the sort of things that we do on every bond cycle. But over the years, the city has been great in recognizing the importance of open space. And one of the ways to recognize the importance of open space is actually prioritize it up front so it doesn't get crowded out by these sort of urgent things like roads and so forth. So this is what we're doing. and we're going to be doing it for a long time, and we have done it for a long time. The Trust for Public Lands ranks the city of Albuquerque second in the nation in terms of the percentage of open space that we have. And we already have a big city, but we have the second largest in terms of the amount of open space we have per square mile. So we have a great start already, and what this does is it plays to our strength. And we have one of the best open space programs in the country already, and we need to continue with our strength and continue doing it. As the mayor said, we have a lot of properties we want to purchase throughout the city, west side and east side. I happen to represent District 9, and in District 9, a lot of you don't know that, but if you go to the Foothills Bridge and go east of the Foothills Bridge, probably about 500 yards or so, there's a running stream, there's a cottonwood forest. We own some of that property, we don't own all of it, and right now in the Tejeras Arroyo, you cannot hike and use that facility as the open space facility we eventually want it to be, because we don't own it all. We own parts of it but not all of it, so you're trespassing if you walk back there technically, so we don't want to encourage people to do that yet. But eventually the whole Tejeras Arroyo biological zone, it might take a decade, maybe more, but eventually we'd like to have that under the city control so we can all use that, and it'll be a beautiful open space facility, hopefully a lot like this in terms of how people feel about it. And I also want to echo what the mayor said, is that we do want to thank the folks who've come before us and have purchased a property like this, and make us all proud to be residents of Albuquerque and bring more people here. And Mayor, you want to...
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you, Council.
Sure.
Appreciate it very much. I want to have Barbara Taylor come up and speak. She's our Director of Parks and Rec, and then I'm going to have Dr. Matt Schmader speak today as well, because these folks go out every single day and make sure that our quality of life in the city of Albuquerque is where it needs to be. They work hard, they're dedicated, they put their careers toward making Albuquerque a better place. So Barbara, you want to say a few words?
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to reiterate that open space for the city of Albuquerque is absolutely the jewel in the crown. 29,000 acres of open space. If Albuquerque isn't the first city, best city, we're certainly in the top 5 in the country, including many larger cities. When we combine our open space with our parks, we are first in the Trust for Public Land medium density city category. So there just cannot overstate the value of this fabulous open space. Here we are under the mountain. I'm very glad to turn this over to Matt Schmader, who has spent nearly 30 years of his life dedicated to and caretaking all of this wonderful legacy.
Thank you, Barbara, and I want to thank Mayor Berry and Councilor Harris for showing the kind of vision that they have, because as people have said, it has been at least a 50-year effort on behalf of the citizens and on behalf of people who had the vision way back in the 1960s to start setting aside the kind of land that we have. These are the areas that remind us that we're in Albuquerque. They make the city more livable, and they make the city a proud place, a destination to come. But back in the 60s and 70s, when we had Mayor Kinney and we had city councilors like Pat Baca, Bob White, and activists like Ruth Eisenberg, who helped to get the volcanoes, or Jay Sorensen, who helped set aside to spearhead the efforts to buy the Elena Gallegos, they had the vision back then. And they created an excellent place. But if we don't continue with visionaries today, like Councilor Harrison, like the mayor, and with the support of Barbara Taylor at the Parks Department, you would have excellence begin to be whittled away. And we have to set in place today the building blocks so that somebody will come 10, 20 years from now and thank us for what we did. And so I want to thank again the continuing investment that we have. The citizens have always supported our open space, and continuing this investment is as vital as anything else that the city has. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Well, just to close, I just want to thank the taxpayers as well. This is your money. And this is a decision that has been made on behalf of the folks that you elected, myself included, and Councilor Harris and our city councilors, to take those dollars that you invest in your community and give them back to you in a way that really matters to you. And in this case, what really matters to future generations in your family. So it'll be nice to know that in years to come, somebody's going to be outside, they're going to be happy, they're going to be well, they're going to appreciate their place even more because of something we were able to do today, just like we were able to do that because of something that happened decades ago in that leadership. So I'll sign the legislation here this morning, and we'll look forward for a bright future for Albuquerque. And once again, thanks Councilor Harris and to all the city councilors. I'll sign it here in a minute. Anybody, any questions before we sign it?
How did you come about deciding on those specific areas?
I'm going to have Matt Schmader talk about that because there is a dedicated process to talk about what the priorities in open space are. Matt, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, talk about the Open Space Advisory Board.
Yeah,
too.
Yes.
board.
Albuquerque has a Citizens Advisory Board, the Open Space Advisory Board, which has existed since the late 1980s. And as they have looked at our comprehensive plan and other areas that become endangered or need to be saved, they evaluate those properties. So there's a long list of potential properties to acquire, and as they've gone through it, the Open Space Advisory Board, working with city staff, has determined what the most important places to try to acquire are. So it's done by a very deliberative process.